10 Advanced ancient structures that shouldn't exist. The achievements of ancient cultures tend to be woefully unappreciated. We think of the people as loincloth-wearing savages, and when we are proven wrong by some impressive feat of engineering, we just make a bunch of documentaries about aliens. But the engineers of times past were nothing to sneer at, and some of their accomplishments make ours seem slightly embarrassing. 10. Dirinku's massive, underground city. Dirinku's massive is an 18-story underground city dating back to around the 8th century BC. It was discovered in 1968 and it is still unknown who built it. What is amazing about this structure is that it consists of a huge network of underground chambers that was dug by hand with the capability to hold 20,000 people. It is believed that it may have been built to protect against natural disaster or war. It has access to fresh-flowing water that comes from wells not connected to the land above, and unbelievably it contains individual quarters, communal rooms, shops, a school, tombs and an escape route. The civilization who built were basically ensuring their survival in any situation. Unfortunately, we do not know who they were or what happened to them. 9. Pumapunku. Pumapunku is a city built in ancient Bolivia by the Tiwanaku people, and it understood to be no between 12 and 14,000 years old, making it one of the oldest stone structures on planet Earth. It is made up of interlocking stones which fit together like Lego blocks. Some of the stones are so large, up to 130 tons and 25 feet long, and cut so precisely, it is impossible to figure out how they moved the stones to their location and how, with no technology, not even the wheel existed, the cut patterns and interlocking shapes so precise, they would put modern lasers to shame. They may also have used metal clamp-type devices to secure blocks together to prevent damage during earthquakes etc. Although the Tiwanaku people eventually vanished, the civilization to follow, Incans, regarded Pumapunku as the center of the world and the people who created it as gods. 8. Gobekli Tiep. Dating back to 9000 BC, Gobekli Tiep in Turkey is one of the oldest stone structures in the world. Built during the Stone Age, it is approximately 6,000 years older than Stonehenge. It is made up of huge, up to 30 feet tall, hand-carved limestone pillars and predates agriculture, which contradicts traditional historical thinking that man only learned to build after he learned to farm because he could then settle in one place. There were a large number of remains discovered at the site, which may indicate that it was a religious site where sacrifices were made to please the gods. The pillars also have hieroglyphics on them depicting animals. 7. Pyramids at Giza. The pyramids at Giza, dating back to around 2550 BC, are the oldest of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Although the outer surface has a rough appearance, it was once covered in a smooth limestone outer layer which was later plundered during the building of Cairo. The largest of the 3 pyramids, known as the Great Pyramid, was built to facilitate the burial of the pharaoh Khufu. This took 20 years and an astonishing 100,000 people to build. Although, it is a common misconception that the pyramids were built by slaves, this is in fact untrue. It was built by normal citizens to pay tribute to their pharaoh, who in turn provided them with food and clothing during the flood season when they were unable to farm the land. The limestone blocks used to build the pyramids weigh an average of 2.5 tons, but some can weigh up to 16 tons, making us wonder how a civilization which existed so long ago were capable of moving such large blocks, particularly towards the top of the pyramid when the incline would have been immense. It is thought that they may have used a sophisticated pulley system, but no evidence has been found to support this to date. 6. Terracotta Warriors. The Terracotta Army is a collection of approximately 8,000 terracotta warrior sculptures that were commissioned around 210 BC by the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, as a form of funerary art that was intended to protect him in the afterlife. Discovered in 1974, the soldiers vary in size according to their rank, role within the army, the largest ones holding higher ranks. Also buried with the soldiers were 130 chariots with 520 horses and 150 cavalry horses. Also discovered in the emperor's burial place were figures of entertainers such as acrobats and musicians, and an entire necropolis was also discovered. It is believed that the construction of the Terracotta Army involved over 700,000 people and spanned over 40 years, which is an incredible feat for a civilization that existed over 2,200 years ago. 5. Ancient stone city of Petra. The ancient stone city of Petra was built sometime around 300 BC by the Nabateans in the desert of Jordan. The huge dwellings were cut directly into the sandstone cliff faces and include temples, tombs, houses and even aqueducts. At the time of its construction, Petra was home to roughly 20,000 people. Although the ruins are impressive as they stand, archaeologists have as yet only uncovered about 15% of the city. The remainder is still buried underground. The city was also home to several scenes from Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. Although the Nabateans were a culture in their own right, they also have connections with ancient Greece and Rome, with several Greco-Roman artifacts and scrolls having been found at Petra. The city is vast in both history and stature, with the eastern entrance doorway standing at almost 250 feet in height. This leads to the treasury, which was once used as a royal tomb, nothing like what was depicted in the movie. 4. Stonehenge. Stonehenge is over 5,000 years old and stands in the English countryside. It is thought that the structure was erected in 3 phases that took over 30 million man-hours to complete. The first stage involved excavating huge holes which were about 1 meter in width and depth, which were probably used for religious ceremonies, as archaeologists have found cremated human remains in the chalk of these craters. Stage 2, which began almost 1,000 years later, involved transporting and erecting blue stones weighing up to 4 tons from southeast Wales, which was a distance of about 240 miles by both land and water. The sarsen stones, weighed up to 50 tons, arrived at the site around 2000 BC, and modern experts have estimated that each of these stones would have taken approximately 500 men to move them, pulling them with leather ropes. Finally, around 1500 BC, the stones were rearranged in a crescent and circle as we see them today. The sheer size and weight of the stones would make modern machinery struggle, and it is amazing to imagine ancient man building such a site which little except their own strength. 3. Antikythera Mechanism. The Antikythera Mechanism is a 2,000-year-old astronomical calculator, similar to a clock in its workings, with 30 hand-crafted gears. It was discovered in 1900 on a shipwreckage in Greece and is thought to be the only device of this sophistication from its time to exist. It has shown incredible accuracy in astronomical detail and was used to record the passing of weeks, months and years using the alignment and positioning of planets. Antikythera, which was once a busy trade route and a base for pirates, who captured and held Julius Caesar for ransom, now has less than 50 inhabitants. 2. Goszel Circle. Thought to be the world's first observatory, the Goszel Circle is a henge in eastern Germany with 3 gates, 2 of which appear to map the summer and winter solstices. Discovered in 2002, it is thought to be over 7,000 years old, which indicates the farmers of this era were much more sophisticated and intelligent than previously thought. It is thought the site was used to worship the constellations. This indicated the existence of ritual observatories 2,000 years earlier than previously thought. Although there are more than 250 ring ditches of its type across Germany, scientists have not excavated or studied many of them, and they believe this may be the most significant of them. 1. The ancient city of Nan Madol. Nan Madol is an ancient city that lies in ruins off the coast of Micronesia. Dubbed the Venice of the Pacific, Nan Madol is made up of a series of man-made islands connected by various canals and passageways. Local legends say that the builders of the ancient city must have used magic because it would have been physically and technologically impossible to move stone that weighed up to 50 tons and erect it in the way they did. Nan Madol has baffled scientists for years due to the fact that it is built on coral and protrudes only 5 feet above the water's surface. There was no access to food or drinking water, so the inhabitants had to go inland for supplies. Another aspect of the culture that baffles scientists to this day is the fact that remains were found on the island of figures that were 2-3 meters in height.